Do you feel like building in public or talking about things in public means destroying your expert status? Well, I've been hearing a lot from my students from my Build in Public Mastery cohort or even my Twitter audience that they seem to think so. And honestly, I'm really surprised because why can't you build in public, be vulnerable, but still be seen as an expert? How can that be done? So in this video, I want to show you one thing to make you that honest and vulnerable person, but still maintain that expert status that people would say, hey, this is the person that I want to go to. Just one simple rule. Let's go. Number one, think about your relationship with your best friend. Why are you best friends? Well, the truth is, when you're opening up yourself and you're being vulnerable and you're sharing things with each other, it actually makes the bond stronger because the other person actually feel like they can trust you more. And this is exactly the same when it is talking to your audience. A lot of people seem to feel that, hey, it is different. When I'm talking to my friend, we're in this cozy living room. But when I'm talking to my audience, I'm just putting out a tweet or a post. But I actually want to tell you that they're not so different because they're both a two-way conversations if you look at it that way. So if you start sharing things that you're bad at, some mistakes that you have made in the past, and really you're just another imperfect human being, then the other person will like you even more. Number two, you can actually pick where you want to be more vulnerable. Just like the other day on a live session in my cohort from Build in Public Mastery, one of my students asked, hey Kavan, actually, where can I show my vulnerability? And my answer to him is that you don't show vulnerability in your expertise, but you can show it outside of your expertise. Maybe this seems a bit abstract, so let me give you an example. I talk a lot about building in public, right? And I would never go out on Twitter and say, hey guys, I actually suck at building in public. I'm not so good at this. I will never do that. But at the same time, I would be very willing to share my struggles growing this business because almost all founders will struggle, and it's not so true if we just hide it from ourselves. So what I would talk about is, hey, maybe I have trouble growing my email list. Hey, maybe I have trouble coming up with an offer for my high ticket offer. Things like this wouldn't diminish my expert status in building in public, right? Hey there, I just want to pause the video a little bit now because I want to tell you a bit more about my live cohort-based course, Build in Public Mastery. Well, obviously this is a course about learning how to build in public, but in Module 1, we especially talk about how to tackle social media fear, how to show our vulnerability, and how we embrace building a loyal audience. Well, funny enough, from what I see from my students, a lot of these are in our head. We fear how people judge us. We fear how people look down on us. But once you embrace the Build in Public framework, you become a confident entrepreneur who has a lot to share and knows exactly how to loop in the people around you. And finally, I'm going to drop in a few links below so that you can check out the stories from the past students to see how they went from being not so confident to now putting things out there, engaging their communities, and building amazing products. Number three, if you really want to maintain your expert status, I have one storytelling tip to share with you so that you can do that. Every time you're being honest or vulnerable about something, which a lot of people think is the negative things, I don't think so. I think they're really positive. Every time you do that, you don't just say something that you're bad at and live it like that. Great storytelling tells us that when you're experiencing something low, you are doing something to turn it back to the high side. You learn a lesson, you turn it around, and that's exactly what you want to do. Let's look at an example together. So here I have a tweet that actually went out not too long ago, and it talked about how I almost got tricked by social media false perception. And as someone who talks so much about social media, I probably shouldn't be sharing this with everyone, but I want to do it anyway. And as you can see here, I was talking about how I get a lot of cold messages on Instagram, and I was really surprised. And I did my due diligence and found out that it was actually some books accounts that are targeting me because I'm an author. But when I look into their amazing account and their promotional package, I found that it's more like an echo chamber. They're all liking and sharing each other's posts to make each other seem much bigger than they are. So in this thread, I talk about my thought process and how I end up not pursuing any of these promotional opportunities. And guess what? If you look at all these replies, they're telling me how they enjoy my story and they're so glad that I did my research. And now my question to you is that, Do you think my expert status of building in public is being destroyed? I don't think so. I think people really appreciate that I'm being honest about my journey. And you can now see that almost every story has a happy ending. And that's why most of the movies have that too. So all in all, building in public and showing vulnerability doesn't make you lose your expert status. In fact, it makes you a real human being that people really want to connect with and work with you. And this is how you become the person that they think of when they need someone.